for himself. He's not dying for anything that he did. He's not dying for his own sins or crimes. He died for the sins of the world. Go ahead.
And the people of the prince that shall come shall destroy the city and the sanctuary.
The people of the city that shall come shall destroy the city and the sanctuary. The city is what? Jerusalem. The sanctuary is what? The temple. But Jesus calls it in Matthew 24 the abomination of desolation. Keep reading.
And the end thereof shall be with a flood, and unto the end of the war desolations are determined.
To the end of the what? The war. Desolations are determined. So he said, you know, that this destruction is going to come by way of a war. By the end of the war, desolations are determined. There goes your desolation right there. Go ahead.
And he shall confirm the covenant with many for 1 week.
And this he is talking about the Messiah. He shall confirm, which means strengthen. You got people that try to say this he is about the Antichrist. He said he's going to confirm, which means strengthen. And then he said he was going to make a covenant. He said he was going to confirm, meaning taking something that's already in effect and making it more powerful. This covenant is about the covenant of God. He's going to confirm the covenant with many for 1 week. And we're not talking about literal weeks here. We're talking about weeks of 7 years. But watch what it says right here. Go ahead.
And in the midst of the week, he shall cause the sacrifice and the oblation to cease.
In the midst of the week. What week? The 7-year week. What's half of 7 years? 3.5 years. So he still hasn't even finished this part of it. But that's something else. Go ahead and read.
And for the overspreading of abominations, he shall make it desolate.
For the overspreading of abominations, he shall make it desolate. The Messiah is going to do this. See, people don't understand that it was the Messiah that sent the Roman army against Jerusalem to punish them for their sins. But then again, once you understand that it's been the Messiah all along from the beginning, who was God in the beginning, then it makes sense, because God was the one that always punished Israel by sending other nations on them. He did the same thing. But finish that.
Even until the consummation, and that determined shall be poured upon the desolate.
So there go your abomination, and there go your desolation. We have both of them spoken of by Daniel the prophet. But why is this happening? For the sins of the people. Jesus said, you can read about it. This has already been fulfilled. This was fulfilled in 70 AD. Was it not? Jerusalem had already been destroyed. The abomination of desolation has already come. It was another one that came before this, with Antiochus Epiphanes defiled the temple by sacrificing swine on it and trying to make everybody convert over to the ways of the Greeks, which we call today Hellenization. But this already been fulfilled in Matthew 24. The abomination of desolation has already came and went. You got people saying, the abomination of desolation on its way. It's already happened. Read Luke 21. When you see Jerusalem compared to army, that already happened in 70 AD. Pick up a history book. Stop believing these elders and pastors that don't know what they're talking about, and just pick up a book and read for yourself. You'll see. It's been historically fulfilled. Everything in Matthew 24. Everything concerning what the disciples asked him about has been fulfilled, and we're going to continue to show you. Let's move on. Let's go back to Matthew 24, pick it up in verse 19. Matthew 24 and 19. Take a look at this, because we're going to continue to run this down. Go ahead and read.
And woe unto them that are with child, and to them that give suck in those days.
They said, woe to them that are with child, and to them that give suck in those days. Why? Because everybody knows, even in today's time, it's harder to travel with small babies and children. Woe to them. Why? Because when Jerusalem was destroyed, anybody that was left within it was tortured and abused. We read some of it earlier. He said, woe to them. But read this next part.
But pray ye that your flight be not in the winter.
He said, pray that your flight don't be in the winter, because just like today, as it was back then, it's hard to travel in the winter than any other season. But go ahead.
Neither on the Sabbath day.
Now this is the key point. He said, pray that your flight don't be on the Sabbath day. Why would we have to worry about the abomination of desolation being on the Sabbath day in our time when the world at large don't observe the Sabbath day? How would traveling on the Sabbath day hinder us? It's not what you don't supposed to travel on the Sabbath day. You can't read no one in the Bible and say you're supposed to do that. Well, this piece of a Sabbath day journey, that's something that the Pharisees and stuff came up with. You can't read in the law where it was forbidden to travel on the Sabbath day. It says, pray that your flight don't be on the Sabbath day. In other words, all the conditions he's running down, traveling with children makes it hard. Traveling in the winter makes it hard. So apparently, if you had to see, from this back then, the Sabbath day would have been something that hindered you if this stuff happened on the Sabbath day. Let's see what the problem would have been. But first, let's go to Psalm 122 and verse 1. Psalm 122 and verse 1. Let's look at the makeup of Jerusalem. He said, pray that your flight don't be on the Sabbath day. How would the Sabbath day hinder Jews back then from escaping all of this? Let's take a look. Psalm 122, verse 1. Go ahead and read.
I was glad when they said unto me, let us go into the house of the Lord.
Which is the temple. Go ahead.
Our feet shall stand within thy gates, O Jerusalem.
Our feet shall stand within thy what? Thy gates, O Jerusalem. So now we know that Jerusalem had gates. Go ahead and read.
Jerusalem is builded as a city that is compact together.
It said Jerusalem is built as a city that is compact together. Jerusalem was surrounded with gates. That's how Jerusalem was built. That was its design. It was surrounded with gates. And when we say gates, we don't mean like no little fence that divides you and your next door neighbor's home. No. Gates back then meant giant walls with giant doors. It took like 2 or 3 people to push open. That's how Jerusalem was. It said it is built as a city compacted together because it had gates, giant walls all around it. But what they have to do with the Sabbath? Let me show you something. Let's go over to Nehemiah 13. Let's see what the Jews did on the Sabbath when it came to the gate. Nehemiah 13 and verse 16. Nehemiah 13 and verse 16. And you can also read this in history, what we're about to read too. Nehemiah 13 and 16, go ahead and read.
There dwelt men of Tyre also therein, which brought fish and all manner of ware, and sold on the Sabbath unto the children of Judah and in Jerusalem.
See, when Nehemiah was alive, you had people of Tyre that came on the Sabbath and was selling stuff to the people of Judah and Jerusalem, which is a sin, because you don't supposed to be buying and selling on the Sabbath as a form of work. But go ahead and read.
Then I contended with the nobles of Judah, and said unto them, what evil thing is this that ye do, and profane the Sabbath day?
See, this is considered evil, buying and selling on the Sabbath. We went and visited a congregation one time, Hebrew congregation, Sabbath observing congregation. So we thought, in the middle of the class, somebody went up and went to the store and bought some chips and dip on the Sabbath. Say you're not supposed to do that on the Sabbath. It's considered evil. Why? Because it's a form of work. How's that a form of work? Well, you go into the store and you got somebody serving you. You got a clerk serving you. Why do you think when you go to any place, the first thing they say is, may I help you? Or how may I take your order? You're giving demands. You're making them work. That's why you're supposed to go to the store on the Sabbath day or going to a fast food restaurant on the Sabbath day, because you're forcing people to work. That's why I say in the law, not man servant, nor not maid servant. Well, they ain't my man servant or my maid servant. They are while they're serving you. May not be forever, but at that time, they are your man servant or your maid servant. That's why you're not supposed to do that on the Sabbath. But keep reading.
Did not your fathers thus, and did not our God bring all this evil upon us and upon this city? Mm-hmm. Yet ye bring more wrath upon Israel by profaning the Sabbath. Mm-hmm. And it came to pass that when the gates of Jerusalem began to be dark before the Sabbath.
He said it came to pass when the gates of Jerusalem began to be dark before the Sabbath. Go ahead.
I commanded that the gates should be shut, and charged that they should not be open till after the Sabbath.
He said, and charged they should not be open until after the Sabbath. And that's how the Jews did it all the time. So when you read Matthew 24, one of the reasons why he told the disciples to pray that your flight don't be on the Sabbath, because Jerusalem was a prison on the Sabbath as far as trying to get up out of there. That's why he said pray that your flight don't be on the Sabbath, because the gates of Jerusalem were shut and locked tight on the Sabbath. Kind of hard for you to escape from a city when you lock behind this wall, now isn't it? Because like I said, when we say gate, it don't mean like a little fence that you leaning over talking to your neighbor about how good your son did on the softball team. No, it means like a wall, 10, 20 feet high. Take 2 people over, you got to slide it out, push it open. He said, pray that your flight don't be on the Sabbath. Why? Because Jerusalem was a fortress on the Sabbath. That's what it was. The gates were shut. Not to mention all of the other restrictions they had